An aging Chinese immigrant is swept up in an insane adventure where she alone can save the world by exploring other universes connected with the lives she could have led. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Movies. My name is George Michail. I'm a comic book maker. I am joined by novelist Andrew Buckley, the editor-in-chief and head writer at Merc Publishing, Murphey, and writer-illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK. Thank you everyone for joining me. Let's get into it. We're talking about everything, everywhere, all at once. What's the good? What do we like about this?
It is a really hard concept to get across. The whole way that they're able to jump between universes and all of this, and how they need to do a specific act that's unusual that'll connect them to another universe, like eat a piece of chapstick. And then the way that they were able to take this very just convoluted is the best word I can think for it. It's hard to understand concept and explain it to a person who in the film doesn't understand it. Explain it to the audience by explaining it to her over the first like half hour, 45 minutes of the film. And I think they did such a good job of really making it clear how they do this. I thought it was one of the best like multi-dimensional stories that I have ever seen. I absolutely loved it.
And it worked on multiple levels. I do agree with you that it's a real hard concept to wrap your head around. But I feel that they did such a good job of like putting those pieces together and then being like, okay, you got that figured out? Evil bagel. Here's this to figure out now. I was like, wait a second, that's very confusing.
So there is like that old trope of like you should never introduce more than one impossible thing at a time in a story. I think except in this story, they do that. They follow that. It's one impossible thing at a time in an unrelenting string into good storytelling. It's an impossible feat. And also the bagel is the opposite of the googly eye.
Yeah, it's inverted.
It's the inverted.
Oh, interesting. Right? I hadn't thought about that. It is. I did really love the importance of the googly eyes.
I just loved so much about this movie, and the character of the husband talking about like, this is how I fight, that I resonated with that so completely as a person who is, well, I won't get on the slide into the psychiatrist's couch, but I was like, I see you, buddy. I'm right there with you. I love you too.
Hey, I'm with you. Like I could get real serious on this one. And this is a story about, really when it comes down to it, it's a story about a mother and a daughter and a wife and a husband. And, I lost my mom last year. And so like they took those relationships and they told about their problems in the most ridiculous, insane ways, with the reality, this real world kind of like pulled into it. And it really like, it hit me in the heart. I thought that not only is this movie ridiculous and insane and just like there's dildos and there's butt plugs and there's googly eyes and there's space bagels, but there's also this like it's grounded in this real story of a mom and a wife who has problems. She's not perfect. And, and it's her daughter and her husband have suffered for it. And I think that the way that they showed that kind of journey to accepting that and like trying to make it better was just, it was just beautiful. It was really sweet.
The concept was really simple. The writers were on a road trip and they had this idea where they wanted to be like a multi-dimensional story that maybe they'll travel between dimensions, but in order to do so, they got to do something really silly and stupid. That was the genesis of this entire movie, was just that kind of little inkling of a seed that grew into this crazy multi-dimensional movie that is quite literally like told through the prism of multiple dimensions, because at one point it's really heartwarming and emotional, and the other part it's, you know, evil bagel and it's dude slow motion jumping onto a butt plug in order to, you know, get kung fu powers, and
so
unique.
Wiener fingers.
And wiener fingers. Although I did have that in the bad because that disturbed me a lot. Every time it came out, I was like, ooh, that's gross. But the actual premise itself, like, it's so unique, and it's so rare that we see a unique premise these days. And it was so crazy and awesome. And this is what Doctor Strange 2 should have been like. It should have been this level of maybe not this particular level, but a level of batshit crazy that kind of matches the tone. And they didn't do that. But this movie nailed the crap out of it.
So this is what I love about movies, is you go in for simple reasons, like, oh, it's a multiverse movie. Oh, it's got Michelle Yeoh. Oh, she was awesome in, you know, Police Story 3 and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the James Bond movie that she was in. It's like, okay, it's got martial arts, and it's got some good martial arts in it too. Like when the husband fights with the fanny pack, I was like, yes, this is dope. But what I left the movie theater thinking about is like just how deep it was and how emotional it was. And I felt emotional after watching this movie. I felt like, you know, I've struggled with times, you know, just kind of like, you know, what's the point of it all? And this movie talks about that. And it talks about just, you know, how big the universe can be and how scary it can be and how things can start to feel pointless. And it's like, what's the point of it all? And it gets into it. It's like, well, it's your relationships with people that matter more than anything else, and the people that you love. And for me, it really hit me in the feels, and I loved it. I absolutely love this movie. I thought it had a strong message, and it delivered it.
Yeah, the people I went to see the movie with, I won't name any names, but the fellow leaned over to me as the credits rolled, and he had, like, you know, wet face, and he's like, well, that's the first time I've ever cried in a kung fu movie.
No.
And that is 100% what this movie is about. It's like the human connection, what is of value when nothing is of value. It's just so beautiful.
Well, and that last scene, you know, we mentioned the googly eyes a little bit, and about how, you know, she's spent at the beginning of the movie, like she's fighting and fighting and fighting, and she's fighting against the IRS, she's fighting against her husband, she's fighting against her daughter and her dad, and, you know, she's fighting against everything. And then by the end of it, you know, she puts on this silly googly eye, and then she just kind of gives everybody what they want in the most ridiculous ways, and like helps people just be happy. And that's like, it's be happy. And one of those is like spanking a man. And it's the most basic message of this film is to, like, do what makes you happy and do what makes the people that you love happy. And it's just such a basic, sweet principle for such an insanely told story. And I don't think I've felt so touched by something in a really long time. One of my favorite movies of all time is Interstellar, and I have not enjoyed a movie so much since watching that for the first time.
I understand you so much better now, Murphy. I also deeply love Interstellar, probably for similar reasons, different reasons than people would assume.
It's not because her name's Murphy, I promise. Everyone always
when she charges up the stairs, just like you said, and gives everyone what they need without judgment, and they're happy, they're defeated in that they're removed from conflict, but they are not destroyed or obliterated or kung fu'd into oblivion. They're just content, and so they don't need to struggle anymore. What a wonderful message in how to fight against the terrible things that happen every day.
This movie has a raccoony Tui in it, guys. I mean, that's something. You don't see that every day. That's a new thing. The acting talent in this was crazy good. I mean, Michelle Yeoh is always great. Jamie Lee Curtis was absolutely freaking delightful through this entire movie. And Ki, I'm going to butcher the name, but Ki Hai Kwan, the husband, who was the kid from Goonies, who hasn't acted in like 20 years.
Was
Like,
that the guy from Goonies?
Yes,
Oh my god.
he came back for this movie. Like, he came out of retirement to be in this movie because he loved the script so much and felt that he was now at a position where he feels like he can make a contribution to the acting world. And he did such a 20 years of not acting. He came and busted that out. Like, damn good.
It hits on so many levels, right? Like, it hits you in the feels for sure. It makes you think about the movie. The action scenes are well done and fun, and it's funny. Like, this thing is like, to have a movie that'll make you laugh and cry and have like an adrenaline rush, like that's something special.
This is a cool fact about the visual effects on this thing too. Visual effects for this movie was done by 9 people, none of which went to school to do visual effects, learned everything from YouTube.
What? That's
Stop
insane.
it. That's not true.
That sounds
That
like
is
the story of
100% true.
everything.
I hope the scenes where they were in that van doing stuff, I hope that was the special effects team just in their natural habitat.
That would be so awesome.
So this movie is beautifully written, and if you want to improve your writing skills, I would recommend checking out Wordsmith Academy. Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man. Wordsmith Academy is online writing hub at wordsmithacademy.com. We have some awesome instructors. We have new content coming up this year. If you want to learn how to be a screenwriter, you want to write novels, you want to write short stories, we have resources for all those kind of things. So check it out at wordsmithacademy.com.
And I've included a link to Wordsmith Academy in the description of this video. So click that link and go and check that out. Let's get into the bad. What did we not like about Everything Everywhere All at Once?
The only bad thing that it's not even bad. It's just like the bagel thing. The bagel was probably the only thing that I didn't walk out like completely understanding. But
It's an
I don't
everything
like,
bagel.
that's what I don't think you're meant to, it's
Yeah, I don't think you are.
and that's it. And everything else, like it's the bagel's not the point. The point is her daughter. And number one, her fabulous daughter who turns people into glitter with a touch. That was incredible. I'm grasping at straws. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
I got 3 things, but they're super nitpicky and stupid. And especially because I write, some of my books are considered bizarro fiction. There's weird shit that happens in Death, the Devil, and the Goldfish and shit. So I'm not one to comment on this, but like the hot dog fingers, I thought there was so much of it, and it was weirdly funny, but then also really disturbing to watch. And then especially when there was mustard involved, I'm like, oh, this is going such a strange place.
I forgot about that.
Right? So it's so bizarre and weird and out there that at times I was like, this is amazing. And other times like, this is really batshit stupid. And then I'd switch back to this is amazing. Like my brain was like just ping pong back and forth. So it was tough. And I had the same experience with the bagel. I'm like, bagel? Like bagel is the evil thing? Like it's stupid. But
No,
then again,
the bagel. Oh man, yeah, but the bagel isn't evil. The bagel is just the object of her desire, and her desire is what. Like, there's so many things in the movie that shouldn't work. I should hate this movie. There's like hot dog finger people. There's just rocks sitting in silence on the side of a mountain. There is there's so many. There's a giant dildo schlong fight. There is like all this stuff that should be just. They should be the things on my bad list, but they're so intricately knitted into the fabric of the storytelling. Hats off to the editor for weaving this all together. That I wouldn't want you to change a frame of this movie.
I feel like it's super nitpicky, but I do think that maybe they went to the well one too many times with the hot dog fingers and the raccoonie or toonie or whatever it was. So sometimes like I take my wife to a lot of movies and some of them are good and some of them are bad, and I always feel like I'm apologizing if I feel like she's not liking the movie. And I was watching those scenes pretty intensely because I'm like, am I gonna have to apologize for this? Because it's a little bit over the top, and they I love this movie, but I maybe one or two of those jokes less would have been better.
I will say I love the hot dog fingers. I cannot get enough of the hot dog fingers, but that last scene of the raccoonie Raccoonie, however they did it, with her driving him. That was
That was a
the
bridge
fact
too
that the
far.
raccoon was so not like I love visual effects that use that don't use CGI, that use practical effects. But the raccoon was a little bit too fake.
But
So
I think it was supposed to
if
be.
I were to pick something, to not like, I think that specific last scene of them chasing down the car would have to be it.
I think it was supposed, but again, that's where I went back and forth. I think it was supposed to look that stupid. Like, I think it was supposed to look that fake. There was some shit that I laughed out so loud in the theater. My girlfriend was so embarrassed. But when they were fighting with the dog and she was like whipping the Pomeranian around, and then she like threw it and like she snipped the thing, and the dog just like flew behind her and hit the cubicle and just like "Woo!" and just spun away. I laughed so hard at that scene because it was just weird. And then when the Raccoonie thing came on, I just cracked up. It's so stupid and hilarious.
So referential of like all the mandala nonsense, and like because people be like, well, that's Ratatouille, right? But no, it isn't. And if it is, it's only because we're in this universe. But in another universe, there'd be this other version, and it's this beautiful like referencing a thing we'd all know that is also ridiculous.
Let's get into our final grades. What's the skinny on Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I got 9 out of 10 hot dog fingers.
I feel like that's not enough hot dog fingers. I don't know.
I can't. Okay. What if I say 19 out of 20 hot dog fingers? Because I have my Jamie Lee Curtis's over there.
Okay.
95.
I'll give it 1 googly eye out of 1 googly eye, which contains all the good and bad that we will ever need.
Wow. I will give it 4 super evil black hole bagels out of 5. It was good.
Yeah, I'm going A+ on this one. It's up there for my favorite movies of the year so far. So that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. Wordsmith Academy. There's a link in the description of this video. Go and click that link. Go and improve your writing skills and take a fun course. I've been George Michail, joined by Andrew Buckley, GMB CHOMICHUK.
What?
Nope, that was.
Oh my God, they swap bodies.
Joined by Murphey and GMB CHOMICHUK, who in another universe is actually Murphey. Follow us on our Facebooks, our Instagram, our Twitters. Links to all those in the description of this video as well. And until next time, I've been George Michail. Peace.